Okay, welcome. And what I wanted to do today was have just a brief discussion with you about data organization and backup strategies. Because how you back up the data on your computer will really make a difference for you when you decide to, or when you have to back up, or if something happens to your computer. Because I know that your computer gives you a warning when it's about to die, right? Oh, no? Yours doesn't? And I may have told this story before, but let me tell you about the warning my computer gave me once. I was working, everything was going fine. I decided to get up and walk across the room. And I heard a ding. And my head spun around so fast that my body almost went with it because I had never heard my computer make that sound before. I immediately backed it up. I thought, did I back it up last night? No. Ran over, backed it up. As soon, and I mean like 2 seconds after that backup finished, my computer died, never to be turned on again. So that was the one warning I got. Most of the time you turn it on and you either get that white screen of death or you get that click, 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 that and your heart sinks. So warnings, oh sure, you get them all the time. So there's a certain way that I back up my data. And I wanted to share that with you because it might make your life a little bit easier. So let's do this. Okay. Organization and backup strategies. Why do you want to have one? Because you only have one time to wish you had. And that little guy crying, that has been me. Has it been you? All right, cool. All right. So, just by shouting out, what backup strategies do you have as far as organization? How do you organize your computer files? Anybody? Go ahead. All right, but before you do that, I'm talking about organization. How do you organize your files? Because, and I meant to get a picture of this, do you have your files sitting on your desktop? Yeah, somebody's smiling. That means yes. Okay. I have an alias folder that is sitting on my desktop, but it's sitting inside my hard drive. So anything that I want to put on my desktop, I just put in that alias folder, so it is automatically saved inside my hard drive. This way, nothing is sitting on the desktop folder. It's a thought.
So is that icon like just, that folder on your desktop just an icon?
Let me hide this and show you what I'm talking about. All right, let's hide you as well. All right, I have a folder sitting right here. Let's see if I can zoom in. This is actually an alias. You see the little arrow? There's a little arrow on it pointing that tells it's an alias. That folder is actually sitting inside of my hard drive. So anything that I just want to have immediate access to, I throw in this folder so it's sitting in my hard drive. So if something happens, it's easier to retrieve data from your hard drive. You have a better chance of retrieving data from your hard drive. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a holding tank.
Yes, it's a portal. It's a portal, like a window to my hard drive. That's exactly what it is, and let me do this. Well, thank you for asking the question. I'm going to go ahead and open it. I got a lot of folders in here, and these are things that, this folder right here, these are things in the hold tank that I want access to all the time. Instead of having 126 files sitting on my desktop, they're sitting inside of that folder. And much easier to get to, cleaner to get to, and less of a chance of them disappearing if something happens to my hard drive. Okay? All right. Any other questions on that regard? Okay. Right. And I've heard that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, that for every window or document that you have sitting on your desktop, the Finder looks at it as a window to open, and that the more windows you have open, then also the slower your computer will run.
You are correct, because it just affects.
Correct. All right, for example, Paul wants to know how to create an alias. So I'm going to go over here to my applications folder, and actually that's not the applications folder I want. Let's go to this one. All right, this is the applications folder with all of the applications. And let's say I want to go to, I have a folder here. Adobe Illustrator. All right, so instead of having to dig down, and I know there's an applications folder, just work with me here. Option Command, have my fingers on the key, Option Command, and I'm just dragging this out onto my desktop. And do you see the arrow on it? See that arrow on it? You gotta squint. See, it's very small, but there's an arrow on it. So once I let go, it creates an Illustrator folder, and there's a little arrow. Let me zoom in. Yep, lower left corner. See that tiny little arrow right there? And you see it also right here? That little arrow indicates that you created an alias. So it was Option Command and I dragged. And as Brian was saying, you can also right click and make an alias. So I could have done that. It makes an alias. It says alias right here. You see the little arrow. Let me zoom in on that, see if that's better. There you go. See that? Yes? Okay. So I can also, oops.
Wait, that's the one you drag onto the desktop?
I'm just going to drag another one.
So that's a shortcut, right?
It's a shortcut. So, so it's a shortcut for me to get to the Illustrator folder. So if I double click, come here. It's already open. Okay, be that way. Close it. Thank you. So now if I double click, it opens up that Illustrator folder. So an alias is like a portal to get from one location to another, like a window or portal. Okay? Got it? All right, any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Stickies are an app that runs on your desktop, and it's possible that the preferences got overwritten when you update it. But that just seems odd because it shouldn't have gotten overwritten.
No, I've heard of it before.
It has happened before?
People lost all their stickies.
Okay, so going on. So organization for your data. You want to have your data inside your hard drive, not sitting on your desktop. And there is a documents folder that was specifically created for you to hold your documents. Who uses this folder? Anybody? Okay, it's sort of split, almost like a 60-40 no, 40% yes. I do not use it that much. Sometimes applications that I run stick files in that documents folder, but I don't use it. I keep all of my documents, every single document that I create, I keep in my Dropbox folder. And this is why. But first of all, for those of you who use the documents folder, that's a good place. Make sure you organize so that you can find things. That's a good place so that when you do reinstall or have to copy, you can do it from one place. But with my solution that I have for Dropbox, let me show you what I have. And I'm going to bring up this is just an image of my Dropbox folder, and I can make this a little larger so you can see it. Does anyone here use Dropbox? Yes. Oh, thank you. I like that. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Who does not use Dropbox and would like to know something about it? Okay. I'm talking to you now. No. No. No.
Do you pay for extra space?
Okay, let me start one at a time. I use Dropbox, and originally I started off with a free account of Dropbox. What Dropbox is a software that stores your content two places, on your hard drive and online. They sync back and forth. I can access Dropbox online, and I can access Dropbox directly from my computer. Anything that I change on my computer is automatically synced with the Dropbox file online. So it is a two-way sync. It is wonderful. Okay, so I originally started off with a free Dropbox account, and I believe they gave you, bless you, about maybe 250 megabytes of free space. I know that. Thank you. If you invite people and they join, Dropbox would give you extra space. I decided to go ahead and pay for a yearly subscription, which is $99. The best $99 you can spend. Because when I have everything sitting in my Dropbox folder, from secure disk images that I created, every single file, every single picture, if my computer died today, all I would have to do is download whatever software that I have a subscription to, and then open up the Dropbox app after downloading it, and all of my files will then re-download back to my computer. That's all I gotta do. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So is there any need to back up with Dropbox?
There's always a need to back up. Always. That's, yes. Dropbox will allow you to back up files but not software. So it depends on what you need. I need everything backed up, but for files, I like to have the Dropbox online. And let me just go more into Dropbox. You have a question, Alan?
Yeah, how much space do you get for $99
A terabyte. Yes. And I don't even have half of that used. So you get 1 terabyte. You also have Dropbox for your mobile devices, which allow you to access all of your files on your mobile devices. So anywhere I am, if I need a file, I can open up my iPad or open up my iPhone to access it. Yes, Bruce?
Multiple computers can also access the same account.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. If you have a PC, you can actually listen to those files.
Yes, because when you're accessing it from the web, you're just accessing a browser, through a browser. So it doesn't matter if you have a Mac or PC or both, you can still access all of those files.
Also,
Yes, sir.
what about encryption?
They do have protection, and as far as specific, what do you mean about encryption? But their encryption or anything? Is it encrypted? You know, is it encrypted? Who knows?
No.
No.
If you put it in the public folder, everybody can get it.
Well, yes, they have a way for you to send a link to someone so that they can have access to a folder. And I do that when I'm sharing files with other students, but otherwise no one has access to my account unless I give them a password. So, and I even have disk images inside my Dropbox folder. And my disk images contain important information that I don't want access to, because there always is a concern about your account getting compromised, and you want to make sure that things are protected. So I have a disk image that has encryption on it inside my Dropbox folder as well.
What if you need more than 1 terabyte?
You can buy it. You can buy it, yes. And they do have, if you're a business, they do have business accounts. Yes, sir?
Swap it up.
Yes, and they will also save files that you have actually deleted off your computer. They will save them.
Like Time Machine.
Like Time Machine, yes. So you can pay for that service as well. I don't know what that is. You could look up the. There you go, $15 a year. Well worth it. To me, what I pay for the yearly Dropbox subscription is to me is a worthy and worthwhile and necessary expense, and I don't think $99 a year is asking too much for the service they do. I wish they would also allow you to back up hard drives. If once they do that, I'm in totally. But I'm in totally with this anyway. So, yes, ma'am. No, with Dropbox you can only back up what's in the Dropbox folder. You cannot back up external drives.
Oh,
All right. For that, I use another application called CrashPlan. Yes, Jamie. So I don't have it, but it sounds very similar to Time Machine or some method of letting you know what your file is and when it was archived. You're asking me what I did?
Yeah.
No, my documents folder is where it was, always will be. I just have that Dropbox folder, and everything is in my Dropbox folder, not in my documents folder. I left the documents folder alone. Well, the way I don't know, the way I initially set it up, and I've had it for a long time, I just skipped the documents folder altogether and just created the Dropbox folder. Yes, correct. That's why I leave the documents folder alone. I do not have anything in the documents folder. Everything is in my Dropbox folder. My documents folder stays exactly where it is. It's a folder that some of the applications may use to dump stuff. I leave it alone. I leave it where it is.
And those applications need that stuff.
Yes. Go ahead. I organize in my Dropbox folder, everything is organized in alphabetical order, except for when it comes to photographs. It's organized by file name, yes. So my folders are organized in alphabetical order. That's just how I remember things. So you got to do what works for you. So this is what works for me. Alphabetical order works for me. And then inside those folders, like it may be, maybe it may be somebody's name. And then inside that folder, there may be folders labeled by date. And then inside that folder, maybe folders labeled by month. So that's how I organize it. Go ahead. Well, that hold tank folder that I created is sitting inside of my Dropbox folder. So, because everything is still working based on what's on my hard drive. That Dropbox folder is on my hard drive. Well, I use an alias as a means to get from one place to another fairly quickly. So, and actually I do have aliases, for example, with my training folders. I have an alias to a folder that may have other documents that I'm interested in looking at. So I may have aliases all inside Dropbox. They still work perfectly. They go from one place to another, just like a portal. Okay, one more question before yes, they do. The aliases get backed up, and they still work on my other drives. Like I have an external drive, they work just fine. That's true, but it's not a danger. But that is true. Yeah, but I sort of know where things are. But, point well taken. There was something that I wanted to say. With your mobile devices, you can also, with your mobile devices and Dropbox, you can also now create new folders and save documents like directly from the web into that new folder that you just created, and it also shows up on your computer and other devices. So it's working both ways all over the place. Correct. Yes.
That's why you can see it everywhere.
Yes. Yes. All right. Worth $99?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who didn't know about Dropbox, hopefully I've given you an idea of how Dropbox can work for you. The important part is finding what works for you. This works for me. This is my solution. And I find that especially when I want to update my computer, or I want to get a new computer, or something happens, all I have to do, download the software, and reinstall the Dropbox application, open up the Dropbox application, and then walk away for 4 hours while it copies all of my data back down onto my computer. So for me, that's a very easy way when I need to upgrade or something happens. So Again, hopefully it's a solution that you can see can be beneficial, but it works for me, right? And that's what's important. Find what works for you. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, my solution. All right, backup strategies. Hopefully you aren't the one holding the gun. You need some kind of backup strategy. If you don't, you will be the one holding the gun. Because as with the other graphic, you got one time to say, oh man, I wish I had. And then, boom. So, for backing up my computer, I have, it probably is a backup on steroids, but it works for me. Super Duper. I use Super Duper to make an external clone of my computer. And by creating this external clone, if something happens to my computer, I can use that Super Duper backup to restart a new computer and copy every single item over to that new computer, and then I'm off and running as if nothing has happened. And trust me, this has happened to me before, where a computer has died or I've got a new one, and the only backup that I was able to copy over was my Super Duper, or the Super Duper drive helped me. Yes, Carol? Yes, 2 questions here. Do you need to pay for it? Super Duper is free. But there's a paid version for what, $29.95 or $30? The best $30 you can spend. It really is. Or one of the best $30 you can spend. So, your second question. If you have the free version, when Super Duper copies from your computer to that external, it will erase that external and start that copy all over again. If you have the paid version, it will do a smart copy and only copy data that has changed. So, it's worth the $30. And there's other things that Super Duper can do. And I've tried it, it's just out of the blue. It's something that you can create called a sandbox. One of the best things you can create. But if you just get the program to just copy over and make a bootable clone, that's worth the $30 that you've invested right there. And for example, with Sierra, if you want to make sure that nothing's broken from your old software to your new software, update the backup clone and run that for an hour or so with your important software. If something breaks, you'll find out on your clone so that your main computer is not affected. And then all you have to do is just recopy your computer back over to your clone. So it can save you some grief just by being able to do that. Yes? You have a question, Brian?
Yeah, there's also the one that I feel is better called carbon copy.
Yes, and we were going to have Jack talk about that, but Jack had to be pulled away. So we had different things to talk to you about tonight, but this is what I use, so that's what I'm going over. So maybe at some point we can get Jack to come in and talk about Carbon Copy Cloner as well. Yes, it's a straight copy. I boot up with Super Duper. I turn the computer on and direct the computer to the Super Duper external, and then I tell it to copy.
Operating system,
everything. It copies over everything. Yeah. Go ahead, Jimmy.
2 things. I guess it could happen on carbon copy.
It can happen anywhere. So let me say this. To your question, you want to see what the updates are. You want to look at the updates if they pop up. You want to go and read some reviews. All right? Quickly.
One suggestion is with either Super Duper or Carbon Copy Cloner, every so often boot from
Absolutely.
the clone.
Absolutely.
Make sure it is functioning properly.
Absolutely. Start up from your clone, make sure it works. Because I even carry a portable backup with me whenever I take my computer out, because computer can die at any time. So I keep a backup with me as I travel. All right. So another backup option that I have is CrashPlan. CrashPlan allows you to back up your files, your computer, to an offsite location. I have, I think, an individual plan, and it was, I believe, $59, I didn't take a look at the site, $59 a year. It will allow me to back up my computer, my laptop. It will also allow me to back up any external drive that I have connected to my laptop. So on any given day, I have 6 external drives connected to my computer. CrashPlan, for the $59 a year, if that's still the individual plan, will back up every single one of these. So all of this data is backed up. Now, the hard part about CrashPlan is that backing up all of this data initially takes a long time. Not days, not weeks. We're talking months. Because it's not like download speed, it's upload speed. And it chugs along like a turtle. So once the initial investment with CrashPlan is time. So once you get that done, you sort of don't want to not keep it going in a way. But again, the best part is that it backs up all the externals that I have connected to my laptop. So every hard drive you see right here is backed up. Because I don't want to pile this high of hard drives sitting on my desk of redundant backups. So this way my backup is off-site and I have it. So that's the beauty of CrashPlan. All right, so let's go back. And the ever so present Time Machine. Time Machine is wonderful as well, because Time Machine will back up the data on your computer, allow you to go back in time to restore deleted files. Or I've even gone back in Time Machine and restored applications. So my present Time Machine backup is 4 years old. So not only do I have a lot of data, I have operating systems back there. So it's all sitting there on Time Machine. Time Machine will allow you to restore if you have a computer crash, a computer crash, or somehow need all of that data or your computer restored. You can do that from Time Machine as well. Before you update. What do you do before you update? There you go. Always back up. I always read the updates before I back up. I read the updates because, again, ScanSnap and Sierra didn't meet in compatibility. If I lose the functionality of my ScanSnap scanner, I lose my daily functionality. So I have yet to update to Sierra, but supposedly it's coming. I make a ritual of backing up every day. I check the compatibility of my software. Every single piece that's really important to my functionality on a daily basis. I check, I read reviews, I read online, I read everything I can before I update, because it's just that one little thing that can derail you. So you want to make sure that your updates are compatible. And if I'm not quite sure, I update my clone first. I test my clone. I boot up from my clone and try to run that and run all of my important software. If there's going to be a problem, it will show up on my clone and not my main computer. So all I have to do then is recopy over from my laptop to my clone, and no harm, no foul. I've not skipped a beat. So with that, I hope you got something from me being up here talking to you. Any questions?